Aloha everyone! Welcome to part 2 of the Noeau Center's virtual workshop on college and the writing process. This segment begins with the second step in the writing process, drafting. This is where you sit down to write your paper, so we'll spend some time discussing optimal writing conditions and providing some resources for promoting productivity and limiting distractions. We'll also review some drafting tools that can help you to improve the mechanics of your paper. The bulk of the material covered in Part 2 discusses the revising and editing phases of the writing process, which enable you to structure and refine your paper in a way that fosters logical organization and coherent flow. Let's get started. Let's begin with the drafting phase. In this segment of the writing process, you're getting down to the nitty-gritty and writing the bulk of your paper. To help you make as much progress as possible, we should spend some time talking about the importance of capitalizing on your optimal writing conditions. Take time to think about when you're the most productive. What sort of environment sparks creativity for you? I got through grad school by writing at night with some relaxing music. Others work best early in the morning with some coffee. At this point, you know what works best for you, so try to set yourself up for success. If you struggle with procrastinating, or if you're addicted to distractions like social media, there are apps that incentivize productivity and block social media and messaging for specific periods of time. I like Focus Keeper and Flora, but there are lots of similar products you can browse through in the App Store. Another valuable tool during the drafting phase is the acronym MEAL. MEAL can be used to organize body paragraphs in order to link them to your thesis and help readers follow your train of thought from one paragraph to the next and within each paragraph. First comes the main idea, which is typically expressed in a sentence toward the beginning of the paragraph. You may have heard this referred to as a topic sentence. If the thesis is the main concept of your entire paper, topic sentences are like the mini concepts of each paragraph that you string together to support your thesis statement. Next comes the evidence, explanation, and/or examples. What evidence or support can you provide for your main idea? Do you need to explain any key terms, concepts, or events? Have you pulled any facts or figures from a reputable or peer-reviewed source that strengthens your position? This is where you want to list your key quotes and findings, or talk about any concepts or theories from your class readings and lectures that you can synthesize with your own research. After that comes the analysis. This is your personal interpretation of the evidence, explanation, and/or example. Help readers to make the connection between your E-word and your main idea. The goal is to explain the significance of the point you're making. Last is link. This portion usually comes towards the end of your paragraph or section. The aim is to link your reader back to your overarching thesis. Explain how this paragraph supports your thesis statement. Here's an example of the MEAL framework. The main idea is highlighted in pink, the evidence is highlighted in green, the analysis in yellow, and the link in orange. You may want to pause the video here to give yourself time to examine the layout. Other than MEAL, here are some other tips for the drafting phase. If you used any pre-writing tools, now is the time to start using them to help you through the drafting process. For instance, if you made an outline, start plugging right into the framework that you've built. Also, remember that you don't have to write the paper in order. Start with whatever section feels the easiest for you to write. It can also be helpful to think of your audience. What does your audience need to clearly follow along with your argument and be persuaded by your position? Try to give it to them neatly, concisely, and in a way that follows a logical organizational structure. And remember that the tutors at the Noeau Center for Writing Math and Academic Success are also always here to help you through the writing process, including the drafting phase. As a reminder, if you're completing this workshop for credit, you'll also have to complete a brief quiz located just below the video player. What drafting strategy do you think might be the most helpful? If you're participating in the quiz, pause the video here and enter your response to questions 1 to 3 now. Hit play when you're ready to resume. Now let's turn to revising. In this phase, you're looking at your draft as a whole and determining if things need to change, if certain points need to be strengthened, or certain paragraphs need to be moved around. You might start by looking at whether your draft fits the assignment. For example, if the assignment is asking you to take a side on an issue, you want to make sure that your paper is actually doing that. If the assignment is asking you to include quotes from a course reading, are you actually doing it? At this point, you may have received feedback from your professor regarding your draft. Address your instructor's comments and evaluate ways in which you can modify or add to your paper to give them what they are looking for. It can also be helpful to ask big questions like, does my paper make sense? Is my thesis coming through? Have I made strong points? Creating a reverse outline can help with this. Let me explain. If an outline is an organizational tool before ideas are drafted in long form, the reverse outline can be thought of as a reflection tool after the draft has been written. To make one, read through your draft paragraph by paragraph and make note of the main point for each paragraph. When you're finished, read those notes to gather a high-level overview of the essence of your paper. Does your thought process flow in a logical manner? Do your ideas make sense? Or should paragraphs be moved around or extra information added or subtracted to improve the structure? And of course, as always, you can reach out to the Noyau Center if you're still feeling confused or if you need additional guidance. Finally, there's the editing phase. This is where you'll give your paper a final proofread. Though this isn't an exhaustive list, here are some important things to look for. Do your subjects agree with your verbs? That involves things like the correct use of is and are, and making sure that your subjects and verbs agree in number. If a subject is singular, the verb must be too. Are your verbs in the correct tense, meaning past or present? Are there any typos or grammatical errors? If your paper contains any difficult terms or terms of art, are they defined for your readers? Have you used punctuation correctly? Do any sentences seem clunky? If so, can you edit them to read more clearly or concisely? Are all of your citations formatted correctly? I know the list can seem overwhelming, but try not to stress yourself out. Help is out there. Here's some great resources. Try asking your friends or classmates to read your paper. Peer review provides a fresh set of eyes to look over your paper for any last-minute adjustments. You can also submit your paper to the Noyau Center for a tutor to review. We'll provide you with feedback and tips for improvements. I also like the Pocket Style Manual by Hacker and Summers. It's a quick reference for improving things like clarity, punctuation, grammar, and mechanics. You can find it on Amazon.com or in our library. Purdue University also has a great online writing lab, and they feature a grammar page that answers a lot of commonly asked questions. Finally, if you're interested in some popular apps, we recommend Grammarly or Hemingway Editor. Please keep in mind, though, that technology is not always perfect. Grammar apps occasionally give incorrect recommendations, so be sure to use another resource in addition to either of these apps. Alright everyone, nice work. You've reached the end of this virtual workshop. We hope it helped. There's 4 final questions to answer in the quiz. If you're participating, answer questions 4 to 7, and don't forget to hit the submit key when you're finished. After you're done, you can hit play to view our Noyau Center contact information at the end. For more resources, or to submit your paper for tutor review, visit our website at westoahu.hawaii.edu/Noyau Center. If you have any questions or concerns, reach out to your instructor or the Noyau Center at 808-689-2750 or uhwowc@hawaii.edu. Thanks for watching.